Go ahead and start the demo day with an introduction by Dean Lisa Ordonez. You come up.
Welcome and thank you to Demo Day. This evening's event plays an important part in the development of these teams into companies and is critical to the success of the StartR program. StartR is funded through philanthropy and sponsorships, and we'd like to thank all of those who supported us so generously. Like the center as a whole, StartR is also very reliant on mentors. These external advisors are essential to developing and guiding this next generation of entrepreneurial leaders. You are core to our ecosystem, and we are enormously grateful for the generosity of your time and wisdom. And now I have the pleasure of welcoming the MCs for tonight, our Executive Director, Tim Schwartz, and our StartR Director, Kim Davis-King.
Greetings. Hi, Kim. It's my pleasure to again thank our donors, our in-kind sponsors, which you see here, Shepherd Ball. These folks have been very generous with their support of our teams, and as those who provide funds, so too those that provide in-kind services are critical. So thanks to these folks. It is also my pleasure to introduce the judges this evening. We've got a fabulous panel of three. Start with Kim Folsom. Okay. Kim is a four-time founder and CEO, first of Founders First Capital, founder, CEO and co-founder of Real Qualify, CEO and founder of Show You How, and CEO and founder of Seminar Source. Kim has raised over $30 million in institutional venture funding to support social ventures and underrepresented students or underrepresented entrepreneurs. Thank you, Kim, very much. Lucy Abgarian is a PhD in biophysics and a Rady alum. She's been busy with us all day long. Thank you for coming, for driving from LA. She is the CEO, founder of 4 companies, but she didn't tell me about one of them. So we'll get to that in her profile another time. But CEO and co-founder of Gene Therapeutics in Los Angeles, also founder of Prune Labs and co-founder of Decano Analytical Labs. And she drove down, as I said, to spend the entire day with us, so she kept her very busy. Thank you, Lisa. And Charles Patton is an advisor to the center and many of our young founders for several years. Charles is a private investor and generously sits on both nonprofit and commercial boards. Charles was a partner with Oak Hill Capital with a mere $8 billion under management, where he originated, structured, and managed all of the company's investments in healthcare. As a private investor, Charles has backed a number of companies, including Village Practice Management, Verihole Health, Stability Health, Recovery One, and one of my favorites is Carrie Hall. Thank you for all your instruction.
Great. So first of all, I'm so happy to be back here in person. This is actually our second time of being in person. We've done many StartR Demo Days, as you can see from the next slide. StartR is an accelerator program at UCSD. We have several programs. So tonight you're going to be hearing from StartR Rady, which is our Rady flagship, has both current students and alumni. And then our StartR Inclusion Impact Group, we have 2 representatives there. So there'll be 7 presentations from our StartR. We always like to be transparent. So you'll see these teams, but in terms of the stats, we now have almost crossed 219 million in terms of funding for all of our starter teams. So this represents almost 200 teams now that have gone through our programs, raised money, outside capital, and have grown their companies. And it's not without the help of our mentors. And I see several of you here tonight. So thank you again for being a mentor for the StartR teams. And I'd like to also now introduce, we always like to bring back one of our alumni. I have the pleasure of introducing both a StartR alum through the Rady as well as the inclusion program and friends. So Maisha Cobb is going to tell you about her very exciting company Impact and give an update for us. Thank you.
Happy to be here and happy to see so many familiar faces. Before I tell you just what I've been doing, I wanted to just say thank you to Dean Ordonez. I am a Rady alum, as Ken mentioned, and I gotta tell you, I came to business school because I thought that I wanted to just increase my career in the company that I was in. But 6 months after graduating from Rady, I actually made the leap and said, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna go full-time into my social impact business. And I think the biggest thing that I got from Rady and from StartR, both inclusion and StartR, is confidence and the ability to take a risk. So as I look at all of you who are out here and getting ready to think about, do you launch your business? Do you take that next step? I just want to encourage you to have confidence in yourself and to be yourself and to dig deep and say, you know what, if I'm smart enough to get through school, through college, through business school, then I'm probably smart enough to take the risk on myself and start my business. So just want to encourage you all to do that. So my company is called Impact International, and I started with this crazy idea as a psychologist that maybe I could change the world by helping extract fear from organizations. So as I teach organizational behavior, as I work with different organizations, the one thing I recognize is there's a lot of fear among people. They don't want to share their ideas. They don't want to open up, and it's pretty pervasive. And I thought about what a horrible waste of talent that we have in organizations, that we have people who bring a diversity of perspective, who bring a diversity of experience, and we don't get the benefit of using it. So I started a company that was pretty audacious. I said, hey, let's measure how much fear really exists in organizations. Let's then create a technology platform where we can help manage it. So I don't know if any of you have been through diversity or inclusion trainings, but as soon as the people left, when I take trainings, I kind of forget what was happening. And there was no way for me to make sure that I sustain the info. So my platform allows people to keep managing their own behavior and others' behavior by having micro learning modules that they can engage in and then monitoring. So how do we now know what people were doing and are they actually using the tools? And so a year and a half in, I quit my job, I guess a year in, I quit my job last January, and I am happy to say that I am making at least as much money as I was making when I worked, and adding customers every day. Have a top 20 company that is a customer, and adding every day. So excited to have been a part of StartR, excited to be here and see all of you, and excited to encourage you to live your wildest dreams. All right, thank you.
So this is our first StartR rating team, FestiGo, and I believe Yami will be speaking for the company. Yami is a UCSD computer engineering student, 2014, and a current Rady MBA class. Graduate. Just graduated. Just graduated Rady? Yes. Oh, congratulations.
And we're gonna be doing a live demo, hence the switching computers. We'll have to figure that out. No, I think we. Yeah. I am. Can people online verify that they see a screen?
Okay, I can do it. Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm here with the FestiGo team. I'm Guillaume Leger. This is Aaron and Jeff. And FestiGo is the last music festival after the start the story. I've been to every Coachella since 2012. And if you haven't been, this is a picture. And it's hectic. There's 76 acres. There's 9 stages, and there's more than 120,000 people that show up every day. And I usually go in groups of at least 10. And there's usually somehow one stage, one set at this chaos where we all meet up. And these family sets, they're always really special. And for me in 2018, this was Chic and Nile Rodgers. I remember they played the Good Times, and we like a Congo line started forming organically. We're all dancing, and it was a celebration of like our whole group. And when I think back to that Coachella, Chic wasn't necessarily the artist I was most excited for, or even the best musical performance, but that moment with all my friends is what I cherish and recall the most. But it's really not easy to get there. Amidst all this chaos, you have crowded stages, you have all of these like huge crowds. And so it's no wonder that these events and managed to meet back up is so rare. And through our research, interviews, and social media, we found that the pain point of scheduling is a recurring theme. And so here, we're here to describe FestiGo, and I'll pass it off to Aaron. We'll start today.
Thank you. So before we get into what FestiGo is and why festival goers need it, I just want to take a quick walkthrough of kind of what some of the current solutions are. So most, if not all, festivals are currently creating their own apps that have some basic functionality like schedule creation. Unfortunately, many are not the easiest to use. They're lacking a lot of crucial features such as offline access when festival goers are often faced with spotty reception. So people tend to resort to their own solutions. So for a lot of people, this is just taking a screenshot of whatever's on the app or the website, or resorting to the good old-fashioned pencil and paper methods, which work but can be a lot slower and harder to share with your friends. So these are among many of the reasons why FestiGo is the only festival app that you really need. So just to give a quick taste of some of the features here. So with FestiGo, you can use it with all your favorite festivals. So you don't need to download a new app. You can go through it and find whatever festival you and your friends are getting ready for. You can create your own personal schedule, and because we have spent time understanding what our users' needs are and how people are using it, we made sure not to neglect crucial features like offline access. And additionally, that planning process becomes more of a collaborative thing with your festival group. So you can invite your friends, create a group, and plan together. So we're going to quickly switch gears and take a look at our live demo. So on the right, you have Guillaume, and on the left is me. So I have already started to plan my schedule out for Frost. It's not all the way there, but I've marked a few artists that I'm interested in seeing. I have some gaps, I have some conflicts, and meanwhile, I have invited some friends to join that group. So Guillaume has now joined, and he's going to go through and he's making his own schedule. He sees who else in our group is going to what sets, and that can kind of give him an idea of where he might want to go. He also has his own tastes and is going to make a schedule. So then as I'm kind of getting excited for the festival and thinking more about my plan, I'm going through, I'm looking at my conflicts, I'm looking at my gaps. And here I see the Sophie Tucker set, which I wasn't familiar with, but I see a group of my friends are going to be there. So that sounds like a pretty good option. And yeah, I said it was going to be quick. So now we're going to transition back to the back, and I'm going to hand it back to Guillaume.
So our target customer is what we call the hardcore festie. These customers represent 20% of festival attendees in the United States, but they account for more than 50% of all the revenue. And that's because they attend 5 to 6 festivals a year, and they're at the core of those groups. And if we can get them, we know that they'll bring in their friends and grow our app for us. And we're not alone. It's expected that the US market will reach 99 million yearly festival attendees in the United States by 2026. And we've come a long way from lab to market through Rady, from our initial ideation, these kind of screens where we proved out the ideation, and to now having validated, rebranded, and launched an MVP. And to talk through our launch and go-to-market plan with that.
So for our go-to-market plan, we're gonna try to get the MVP product to as many users and as we can. So our demo launch is March 4th at CrossFest in San Diego. We'll be launching an Instagram campaign and a ticket giveaway. We're gonna try to get as many downloads and people using it at CrossFest as we can. Some KPIs that we'll be monitoring is group creation. So how many people are creating records of the app and sharing and inviting their friends. As well as the ticket traffic, so we'll have a call to action, disable tickets to see how many people are interested in purchasing tickets through the app. So once we have a refined app and a substantial user base, next step will be to monetize our app. We're partnering with various organizations such as festival organizers, Insomniac, Live Nation, AEG, as well as music streaming services and social media platforms. So one of our asks today is if you do have any questions in the space of the music industry, you'll have to ask for an introduction. And with that, thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Questions.
Got questions from the judges?
I have a question. You had mentioned that a lot of the festival venues already have their own apps. Very nice, like tickets, the scheduling information. What degree do you intend to co-opt those festival presenters? Or is a lot of what you do competitive? Does it take away revenue streams? And how do you counteract that? If you're at work or prevent them from being concerned, prevent what's preventing the function of what you guys are doing?
This is intending to be a channel for partnering with them. They give them dedicated space, one of the revenue opportunities to partner and let them reach out to the customers and festival attendees that they have on our platform who are interested in their festival, allow them to drive ticket sales through us. So we're thinking of it more as a collaborative space. And then they don't really have any incentives to copy us because they don't want to advertise for other festivals. And the whole point of this app is one for any festival you're going to. So it gives us a unique space to help people navigate across festivals. And it helps them have a space to market to their competitors' users.
And then just related, how do you guys intend to drive revenues? Create revenues for
So
the app?
right now, we're testing the ticket sales as around testing the business model. One of our theories is that we can drive through like ticket affiliation programs. And then we're thinking that we can do by enabling things like push notifications and other ways to directly access the groups that are going to their festivals, have the festivals partner with us and pay us.
So, Michelle, you mentioned that inspiration was with Michelle, yes, for the concert. And their own, that concert, festivals owned by AI, the AEG. So let's say somebody in here was represented, and they have other festivals. What would your pitch be to them that they should pick up this as the app?
I think that it helps the users, you can identify them as instead of this a unique group of individuals, as a group of people who are navigating from one festival to another. So when you think of like customer lifetime values, right? I mean, right now it's an early focus on individual festivals that have to restart the whole marketing process every time, every year. So this makes it a way to have a continuous way to interact with your fans that are attending.
Judges, thank you very much. There'll be time to.
One
Oh,
more
yes,
question.
please. Yeah.
So here I see one of the main goals that you are going to for data collection. Are you looking into it? Or do you have any plans of how to do that?
We're looking for partnerships. We know that we could do things like generate playlists on Spotify based on these last do recommendation engines with AI, those kind of things. But right now we haven't figured out exactly how we'll monetize it, but it's in every way.
Next team is from StartR and so we have Nico, who's Rady MBA 2020.
It's a clicker. Oh, okay.
No, but it's fine.
Let me just try to finish it off.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nico Villanueva. I was in the StartR Impact and Inclusion, and along with my co-founder, we started Winds Biotherapeutics, which is committed to ending chemical warfare. Now, often when I say chemical warfare, people are like, isn't that a problem from 100 years ago? It's been solved. And unfortunately, it is not. Here's the clicker. Okay. Okay. So chemical weapons still exist as a threat. They were used in the ongoing Syrian civil war. They've been used by Russians in assassinations recently, and they're used in the terrorist attack in the Tokyo subway in 1995. And everyday agricultural workers use compounds that are very, very similar, called organophosphates, as pesticides. So there are really three main places where these pop up: in war, terrorism, and agriculture. Unfortunately, the current treatments only block the symptoms and remarkably have stayed almost identical from World War I to World War II to today. We are taking a modern tech approach to disrupt this paradigm. Our solution, rather than just blocking symptoms like the current standard of care, our solution actually eliminates the causative agent. It breaks down that molecule of poison. And so we've done some experiments around this. We started with computational modeling, showing to see if the enzyme that we're working with would actually bind and grab onto the poison. We then did experiments showing that it does in fact deplete the poison relatively very quickly. Within a minute, almost all of it's gone. And we have a highly engineered protein here that's stable, even if held at human body temperature for up to 6 weeks. So it was predicted to work. It does in fact work, and it works in a really harsh environment, meaning this could be in a soldier's pocket on a mission for weeks and weeks, potentially, and be ready to use when they need it. So that ready to use when they need it, what do I mean by that? Well, you have to kind of imagine that you're in one of these situations where suddenly, horribly, there's a attack. And immediately the risk to you and your health goes through the roof. Fortunately, there are treatments, right? There's the standard of care, which is a combination therapy, 3 different drugs that are administered, and 3 different drugs that are administered and will reduce the risk to you. Ours, on the other hand, is a single dose, 100 milligrams behind the low battery. 100 milligrams of our drug ought to bring the person back to health pretty quickly. Okay. And the other thing about the standard of care is that it takes weeks and weeks to clear this. So, and during that time, you might be getting injected every few minutes as they're trying to titrate just the right dose of drug to keep you alive without overdosing on these dangerous chemicals. Ours, on the other hand, is a single dose, works really fast. And what I didn't show in the standard of care, as I said, it can take weeks and weeks. And what you see here is this is what the treatment really looks like, is you're getting dosed and dosed and dosed. And what's not shown here is that patients are often put into a medically induced coma. They're often put on ventilators, all this, and ours, on the other hand, can do this in a single dose. We thought this was a pretty good idea. We got it patented. We realized there's quite a market for this as well, as every year in the US, the US purchases right around 1 million doses of the current nerve gas auto injectors. And then that can, of course, expand as we expand markets outside of just the US strategic national stockpile. We've been working with a regulatory consultant. It's been really helpful. And we realized that we are addressing the unmet medical need. This qualifies as a rare disease and it's a biologic, so that gives us market exclusivity. This enzyme, we're repurposing it. It's already passed phase 1 clinical trials. We know it's safe in people.
And it qualifies for what's known as the animal rule, meaning we never actually have to put this back into a person again to get full FDA approval for this as a drug. As long as we use the right models, we can get there without ever doing clinical trials in people again. So what am I showing you? Well, we have a repurposed, de-risked asset. It can be scaled. It's stable for weeks. It's in a growing market, and we know it's safe. So we're in the middle of doing experiments still, proof of concept studies. This is kind of where we're focusing at the moment. We've got several of these done. We've secured our IP. We have our phase 1 data all set. We've shown initial experiments to show that it does degrade the organophosphate pesticides at least. And now we're expanding our experiments to go after other potential options. So really, our exit strategy is we're looking to be acquired in the near term. We're trying to build value, get toward approval, build our network, cultivate relationships, and position ourselves for acquisition by a company that has a go-to-market strategy. We could quickly ramp up a go-to-market strategy around this. So the team consists of myself and my partner, Alexis. We're both scientists, we're both MBAs. We're also working with a group of collaborators that are really great. One of them was shown earlier, Wilson Cincini, they are IP. And there's a lot of biotech in San Diego that we can partner with as well to get experiments done. So I hope I've inspired you a little bit with what we're working on. And anything you can do to lend us guidance, advice, connections, introductions, that's what we're really hoping for. You can reach us through the website, through the email, or please talk to me here tonight. Thank you.
Once we hear in the lab, they can't look at always. You consider breakdown techniques.
The current, the practice statement would be before
Any other tests or you can get the stable and that different. So it gets like sometimes
our enzyme stuff. It lasts 6 weeks at human body, but it's indefinite in a freezer. So as long as you have it in a freezer. Hopefully, we know here to be no one.
What would you think is the highest risk?
Repeat the question.
Yeah, what's the highest risk for our enzyme, our business? I would say it's that it doesn't work against a key chemical. Doing experiments with what we've done so far are relatively inexpensive and safe to work with chemicals. I can't just go order sarin and work with it safely, even if I could. I was gonna make a joke about its demo day, but I'm not gonna like. So that, I guess, is the biggest risk, is that it won't work with a key chemical.
Right, and also, I mean, there are other entrepreneurs that are working on creating like better versions of chemical weapons, right?
Yeah.
And also for agricultural, much more safe, like substitute to the pesticides that are existing right now.
Yeah.
How are you
Well,
seeing
so,
that as a threat?
sure. So with the pesticides, actually, we kind of tossed around the idea of maybe partnering with a pesticide maker so that they could we'll sell you this really dangerous chemical, but here's the antidote with it. So that your workers remain safe. You know, should the worst case scenario happen, your workers would remain safe. As far as somebody coming up with a new way to kill people, I mean, that's gonna happen. The thing is, sarin's been around since like World War I, because it's really easy to synthesize, and that's why terrorists can make this in like their basement laboratory. So just making the world a safer place in that regard, I think would be of value.
Third world nations using sarin.
Okay, other questions from the judges?
So your key target market would be the military or governments, and to that end, have you thought about actually partnering initially with the government to help with funding and allow you to do the kind of trials and testing that you might otherwise have difficulty doing?
Yes, you're absolutely right. That's our target market, and we have a grant in review right now at the NIH around this. We have applied to a DARPA grant. We did not get that. We're trying, this is kind of one of those relationships we're trying to get with some people who have influence in those committees, and can kind of put out a call for something like ours. So absolutely, that's what we're trying to do is get early buy-in from the military or someone like that who has deep pockets and can fund this research.
DOD should be.
Exactly.
My pleasure to introduce the next team led by Fang, and Fang was kind enough to adopt two physics students as his co-founders. Fang is a did his postdoc at Caltech. Did his graduate work at Caltech and here as a postdoc. And Daryl, I wanted to thank you for helping mentor this.
Thank you so much, team. Hold on. Yeah.
Trying to get,
Click share. That will work. Yeah.
but I think you're not on the Zoom.
Well, in the meantime, I can share my story of StartR Rady. I started off as a one-man team a few months ago. And through StartR Rady, look at where I am now. I have a team with 2 business graduate students, 1 undergrad working in computer science. And we have an awesome advisor, Daryl, and we have a plan forward. And this has all happened in the past few months through StartR Rady. So it's okay. So I'm Fawn. I'm from I represent team InfraBio. So what we do is we develop a holistic computational platform to understand the drug cell interaction dynamics. And the reason we do this, okay, I can do this. So we do this to reduce the failure rate in drug development. Okay, so why do we want to reduce failure rate? What's wrong with the drug development process? You all know that drugs are really expensive to develop. And this is a picture of what it looks like for the drug development process. You start with something like 10K compounds, and you see this through this whole drug development pipeline, and eventually you might reach one drug that works. Okay? And most of the cost out of this whole process, as you can imagine, comes from all of these failed compounds that don't make it in the end. So it's like every successful drug
carries a huge baggage that comes from these other failed drugs. And this whole process costs a lot of time, a lot of money. And it's basically because at these high stake stages, we don't really have a good understanding of why they work or they don't work. And if we put out some numbers for these clinical trial costs, which is usually the highest cost process, for each approved drug, usually it takes about 1 billion. 70% of that is spent on the drug company's other drug candidates that's went through the same process, but they fail. So that's a huge amount of money that's wasted in this process. And if we better understand and reduce the failure rate, then we can reduce that significantly. And that's big the reason that more and more investments goes into these preclinical stages to try to reduce that. And that's exactly where we work in. We work at exactly this highest stake stage, the preclinical stage, where the company is deciding whether they want to go forward and enlarging the investment from like tens of millions to hundreds of millions. And as we expand our company more, we'll go backwards and connect with more traditional methods. In particular, inside this preclinical stage, we focus on understanding these PKPD and metabolism, as well as toxicology and safety parts of this whole concept. So what's the magic? Why do we are able to solve it? What's unique about it? So you can imagine this whole process of drug coming into the cell and their interaction inside the cell. You got metabolites going on, you got gene expression, you got protein production, and they're all working together. And we can imagine that as a complicated process, which I just draw as a black box here. We never understand exactly what's going on, but the current process is you probe the periphery. For example, you understand how drugs bind with the receptors and solve that using the PKP method. And if you put in a drug, then eventually you see some cells death or you have some efficacy marker. So that's what you get. But you never understand what exactly is going on in the whole process. And that's what makes the result you see not transferable to animal and human bodies eventually. And that's exactly what we saw. So this is an analogy that there's like a huge maze representing this complicated process. And what we are able to do is this holistic computational model that talks about what's exactly going on in these metabolism gene expression dynamics inside. To be more specific, what we're able to develop is tailored for different cell lines. In particular, we're able to develop this computational model of what's going on in their metabolism dynamics and provide an envelope for what can happen in different scenarios. And that's something unique that we can provide while existing methods don't. And that's what allows us to better understand and better predict drug efficacy and safety. So for that, or the market size we're looking at for InfraBio, for all of the preclinical studies and drug development processes, we're looking at something like 110 billion. And all of that, because we're focusing on these metabolism and PKPD methods, we're aiming at a target market of about 6 billion. Out of that sector, we have competitors working on similar methods, either using computational methods or combining with wet lab, but we're simply unique in providing the metabolism, gene expression dynamics, and giving these bounding envelopes, which makes or whatever we predict much more transferable to animal studies and human studies later down. Now we're looking at a timeline where we're searching for a first collaborator to tailor our software almost like a service for them so that we can make our first successful case. And then later, as we develop our prototype into a full computational platform, we can have our proof of concept as a computational platform, and looking forward to incorporate and seed funding stage near the end of 2024, next year. And we're in the process of filing a provisional patent right now for a unique method. And later down with our prototype, we'll file multiple patents for that too. And as I said at the beginning, the most unique thing through the StartR Rady process is we formed an awesome team. This is me on the tech side. We got Jiro, Ihan, and Oscar. This is the InfraBio team, and Darrow as an awesome advisor for us. Each one of them, I really enjoy working with them. And this is all happened through in the last few months. It's a really amazing process. So I'll conclude with something I really look forward to. Any of you can help me with. we're really looking for these potential collaborators or customers these small, nimble private companies that look for these computational methods. They have some computational team, they have some computational needs, but they have a problem that with these complicated processing cells that really need addressed. We're also looking for experts in these preclinical stages who can better help us refine or model and refine the features we build. Thank you so much.
Can you go back on where the funnel was when you were showing the stages of going drugs? Like how the drug development is going happening here. So there are a lot of companies that are actually using AI and machine learning technologies at the second and third bar.
Yes.
So why would companies wait, like spend lots of money on that three stages before coming to you to save money?
So if I understand correctly.
Right, I mean, a lot of money saving right now is happening at compound screening stage, right? And already using you mentioned the technology of AI, machine learning. By the time they get to the preclinical stage, there are already technologies that are helping to completely understand the mechanism of actions, the receptor binding mechanism, all of that is kind of, so I'm trying to understand if somebody is prone to use the newer technologies, experimental technologies, why would they wait until getting here? Because at preclinical, this is where the pharmaceutical companies are very vulnerable because they are spending tons of money. They already have investment at this stage and using experimental technologies that FDA is not going to be understanding is going to be very risky.
Yes.
So I'm trying to understand why you would wait until getting to that stage.
Yes, that's a great question for me to clarify. So just to repeat, the question is basically, a lot of company are doing these two stages and a lot of money spent here. Why would they wait till here to use our methods? So you're totally right. There are very exciting developments here. And they're saving time and saving costs at these stages. But still, these drug candidates that at this preclinical stage before they file into here, go through clinical trials, there's still a huge risk associated with it. Even though they know the mechanism, for example, they know the PKPDs, they know why the certain receptors, interacted with by a certain drug, why certain enzymes are inactivated. They still don't know what happens if you put in the cell. If you put in a mice, or if you put in eventually a human body, what will eventually happen? And that's the reason that even starting from here, you still get 90% failure rates towards the end. And that's because there are unpredictable changes to the drug efficacy and safety along that process. And that's the risk we're helping to mitigate. So you're totally right that there is huge advances here, and they help the drug companies reduce their costs here. But there's still a huge risk here that we help reduce.
And your technology really be IND submittable because in preclinical, you still have the animal model, you can go into animal model. But for going to phase 1, you are going to need something that FDA is going to understand. If they don't understand it, they are not going to solve it. In this method, how are you going to pass that barrier of making it FDA understand?
Yeah, that's another great question. Let me just quickly repeat, is our method able to be part of filing for an IND for the FDA? So right now, of course not, because we're just newly developing this method. But the good thing is there is huge support on this. So computational methods as part of the whole IND filing process. There has been new methods recently being adopted in the whole IND filing process. That's computational. Of course, it's based on a lot of experimental data, but that's something there is a big support from the regulation side. Like there are NIH white papers on this field called quantitative system pharmacology that's supporting in that direction. So
I'm optimistic on that side. Although even that's definitely much further downstream. You have to happen way after we have proved ourselves to several case studies. Right? But yeah,
That's time for one more question.
I'm optimistic.
With regards to your focus on getting collaboration partners, are there some specific drug therapies that you're going to focus on? Or are you open to?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we don't have a very particular one we are focusing on right now because our eventual goal is to develop this more general computational platform. Right now we are focused on just because we need to have something special to begin with, we're focusing on these cell lines from cancer, just because these cancer cell lines have a lot of data available and they have relatively standard needs from companies. They all test on the same cell line. But we're very open on this regard because we have this tech method that we are really looking for. What's nailing it use case where it really showcases that this holistic dynamic prediction can really shine. So that's something we're still looking for. Like I was literally just talking to Nico about what's happening with this tech and we useful for. So we're still searching for it. We have some scenarios like metabolic diseases, like small lung cancer diseases, but none of them feel like exactly the right thing yet.
Yeah.
So I have a pleasure of introducing two of our data scientists, Vegas, with the team called PAC, which is part of our StartR Academy.
Sorry, I'm trying to get the presentation.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, what's this one? Yeah. This one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. No worries.
Everyone, my name is Keyshawn, co-founder of PAC. I lead everything partnership related.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shaninder. I lead everything marketing related. And our third co-founder is Eric. Unfortunately, not here today, but he leads software and technology.
So meet Fizza, your average college student. She's hungry, tired, and currently craving for an everyday night. So she can't cook any food. What does she do? Food delivery. Option one, Fizza orders DoorDash. It takes her driver 30 minutes to get to her dorm room. Another 10 minutes trying to find it. And then she's slapped with an $8 service fee. Now Fizza wasn't able to finish her essay and she might have to retake the class. Option two, Fizza orders PAC. Her food comes to her within 10 minutes for only a $1.99 delivery fee. Now she's able to finish her essay and happy. So the service is really simple. You order on our app and it comes to you, your food comes anywhere on campus within 10 minutes. How does this work? Well, we have a warehouse nearby campus that essentially houses all of our inventory, all of our rushers, who we call our delivery people, and our kitchen. And all of our rushers are students, so they know all the nooks and crannies of campus and are able to get anywhere within 10 to 15 minutes. So we made this service essentially to make food delivery easy and affordable for college students. But more than that, we discovered that 44% of college students are actually food insecure. This means that almost half of college students don't know where they're going to get their next meal from. And this is a big issue. So we've made it our mission to eliminate food insecurity on college campuses. And to start, we have a partnership with UCSD's very own Trident Food Pantry to make deliveries for them on campus. We'll be donating a percentage of our profit to them. And also we have an entire section within our app dedicated to educating our customers on food insecurity and incentivizing donations.
So our revenue model is simple. We make money through the sale of convenience items, the sale of fresh meals, and through a flat $1.99 delivery fee on every order. So obviously, we're targeting college students both on and off campus. Just to give you guys an idea of how big the market is, food delivery in the USA alone is worth 26 billion. Of that, $5 billion is taken up by a space called rapid delivery. And these are essentially services that offer 10, 15, 20-minute deliveries on goods. And so there's been this recent rise in the number of companies that are trying to offer this kind of service. So we're trying to capitalize on this trend as fast as possible. So to give you guys an idea of competition, we've broken it down into two sections. One is campus competitors and one is general competition. So we have campus competitors such as Duffel and Snag. These type of services are similar to us. They primarily focus on delivering snacks and grocery items. However, they lack an offering of fresh meals. And so that's where we come in to fill in the gap because we place an equal emphasis on meals and snacks. We also have our general competition, which is companies like DoorDash and Uber Eats. However, they're very slow, expensive, and often a struggle to deal with as a college student. A lot of these drivers can't actually navigate their way around campus and find your dorm, causing students to go out of their way to essentially navigate with the driver. And so that's where we come in because our rushers are all students. And so we know the lay of campus, which means you never have to leave your dorm to get your food. So we actually tested out this concept back in May. We served about 15% of campus from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. We delivered snacks, grocery items, as well as a few fast food offerings. So week 1, 2, and 3, we did only snacks, but then week 4, we introduced our meals. And so in total, we delivered just over 300 orders. And you can see weeks 3 and 4, we started picking up a lot of traction. We ended up doing 2,400 revenue in just 1 week. And that was just in one residential college alone. And there's 7 on campus. And so you guys can see there's like a lot of potential here for this business. So that's why we've actually been preparing for a full-scale launch at UCSD. Good news, we have an app coming out. It's fully done and it's currently being approved by the App Store. As soon as that's done, we're going to be launching on campus, serving everyone from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. And so in terms of our ask, we're looking for connections, whether that be in the form of advisors. If you happen to have connections with some fast food chains, restaurants, distributors, anyone that we can partner with, that would be of help. And we will eventually be raising money for a full-scale launch, which is going to be about 150K. So it's going to be broken down into inventory, wages for rushers, some warehouse payments, as well as a little bit of burn money just to make sure we can stay afloat for the first few months. So yeah, if you're interested in investing, interested in connecting, or if you have any questions, please come see us after the pitch and we'd be more than happy to talk to you. Thank you.
Questions from our judges?
For your trial, what did it cost you to serve the 2,400 of revenue that you got? And secondly, related, are you making a margin on the food stuff that you're providing, or is the profit solely coming from the delivery fee?
Yeah, good question. So cost is just under $1,000, like $900 to actually get the food and everything. We made in total about 3,600. So yeah, our revenues did come from, we actually didn't even have a delivery fee. Because we're sort of just trying to get people hooked onto the service first. So we're trying to get as many customers as we can. We had a 29% margin, and that's just us buying food from the Costco business center. So not at scale at all, right? Yeah, so that's just like, that's very basic stuff.
So you priced up though.
Yeah, of course we made an upcharge on the actual food stuff.
Right, so be comfortable with what you might pay for a vending machine, you know, snacks or relative to the local convenience store?
We found it was actually cheaper. We found we were actually cheaper than what campus has to offer. So.
In the week 1 through 3, from 400.
Yeah, in total it's just 300 orders. But that was our offer.
And so as part of your role in the chat, what did you do differently?
Yeah, so we want to launch with a full app. Last time we did a form. Essentially, it had a bit of code behind it, but it was really just a form, like an automated process. We're gonna have an app. We have a team full of brand ambassadors now. They're gonna help us get the word out about PAC. We have a lot of connections with kind of like the local newsletter on campus. We have some connections in Facebook to get advertising going. For the partnerships, we talked about Silent Food Pantry. We'll also partner with the #2 app on the iMessage App Store. And that's for something in our background actually that we're doing for the app. So definitely this time around, a lot more partnerships, a lot more PR marketing, and a much better user experience through the app.
One more question?
Do you have any plan how to go going to serve from the how are you going to build this level or like
Okay.
something that is going to go that do you think you can monetize on that as well?
Yeah.
That's actually a part of our mission slide back there. So we plan on having all of our leftovers donated or composted actually to the Trident Food Pantry. They take a lot of expired food as well that we can donate for a good cause. We also plan on having other companies hop on and have some of their leftovers on our app that we can also sell. So it's a whole thing. We're still developing it. But yeah, that's essentially our plan for all of our food that expires or we aren't able to sell.
The primary focus is getting the app out and, nailing down this service, but there is more to it in the back that we're working on.
And then just last question, because we're operationalizing it. Do you need warehouse space and kitchen space on campus? And do you have to build that from scratch, or is the intention to partner with existing facilities on campus and then you operate them after hours?
Yeah, good question. So actually, it's not a partnership with anyone on campus. We're going to be essentially renting our own store off campus. I'm close to campus, but still off campus. And then we're going to fill that up with our kitchen, all the snacks and convenience items, shelves and everything. So we're going to be stocking that up. And that's what the initial cost of approximately $50K, I think it was, is for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm pleased to introducing soon to be Rady alum. She will be graduating in March. The founder of Renew Solar, Heather Hartman.
Right. Hi, everyone. It's the year 2050 and the world is wrought with solar waste. Our landfills in America are at capacity. The soil leaching is causing terminal illness in our population, and the sun is hotter than ever. But how did we get here? Well, we are now feeling the first tremor of our universal mortality. So, unfortunately, the road to hell is paved by good intentions, right? So, with the president's executive order and the Inflation Reduction Act that has recently been passed, by 2050, we are aiming that the US will be powered by 50% of solar. So at this point too, in 2050, we're going to witness 78 million tons of solar waste being our landfills. And right now there's at present, not a lot of technologies that are purposely recycling every aspect of these solar systems. And there's a $1 billion opportunity for recapture of these valuable materials. Today, we're going to be solely talking about the panel reuse. So let me introduce you to an opportunity that I want to bring to the table called Renew Solar. We plan to reduce our impact to this world, reuse solar panels, and renew our promise to the planet. In totality, I want to close the loop on the sustainability of solar power. So let me shed some light on the solar industry, as there's plenty of it. So the solar industry is booming. Within the last 10 years, we have noticed a growth rate of 50%. That's each year doubling our solar capacity here in the US. So with this rampant income we have here, we're going to notice that all of these panels at some point eventually are going to have to head to a landfill or a recycling facility. So the solar industry booms, so does the byproduct of waste. Encouraged by rebates and subsidies, homeowners and utilities are incentivized to crash panels far before. So they're incentivized to crash these panels far before efficiency drop, or physical integrity loss. Here on this graph, you'll see where Renewable Solar's business lies is between the blue lines and the red lines. So our blue line here shows that an average panel will start to lose efficiency about 10 to 15 years of age. Our red line is showing how early utilities are now replacing their panels at an age of about 5 to 10 years. So these panels are headed to landfill, and they're perfectly usable for the layman with incredible efficiency. So we have a disposal problem, especially with every panel being able to exist for 40 to 50 years, and even greater in some cases that we're witnessing in the Midwest. Old panels essentially have nowhere to go. Businesses are faced with the prices of $1.50 per panel to send to landfill or $20 per panel to recycle. Here, unfortunately, it's just a business decision and it's more expensive to recycle, so these are headed to landfill. And the sad cherry on top of this mudslide is that there are only 3 recycling facilities in all of America, and not all of them are recycling these instruments fully. And there does not exist a platform that connects your utilities, your decommissioners, and buyers who want to utilize these used panels. So the solution originally for Renew Solar was to intercept these panels headed to landfill. We would check them out, see which of them are reusable, have refurbishment opportunity, or not reusable, and then we'll sustainably send them to our own lead stream. But the problem is bigger than that. So we want to create a marketplace. So through reuse and refurbishment, we expand access to solar power and clean energy through connecting suppliers and buyers by a marketplace, the first of its kind. No longer will you have to find used panels on Craigslist or Alibaba. So introducing Renew Solar. This is the secondary market for solar power. Essentially, we connect our suppliers. So these are your large scale utilities, NextEra, Duke Energy, Florida Power and Light. We make it simple for them to shed these used panels to our buyers. These can be local nonprofits, eco villages, individual users, homeowners, and that's all here. So this is our partner map, which I've currently been working on expanding through solar conferences and business and industry know-how. So our operation partners are strategic partners. So these are recycling facilities that we'll partner with, logistic partners for shipping, etc., and panel refurbishment facilities. And then we also have our suppliers. We're in talks with EDF Renewables to receive some of their panels at present, and fellow competitors, previous competitors in the market, but are current decommissioners like Recycle Solar and Decom Solar. This platform can offer opportunity for all of these individuals to showcase their talents and make a turnkey solution for our user for used solar. And buyers include Samtec, which is a wholesale distributor in Baja. They're looking for used panels through the Marriott Project, and Boxy Community Solar. So we have a 3-part promise to our suppliers. We offer a cheaper end-of-life solution. We also offer return on visibility for their ESG commitments. And for our consumers, it's a reduced financial barrier of entry to utilizing solar power. And for our environment, of course, we don't want to forget that by delaying the solar panel retirement, we're saving our landfills and offering just a little extra life for these panels. So who am I to bring you this idea? Well, I graduated from here, UC San Diego, with a Bachelor's of Science in Environmental Engineering. And from there, I went through environmental consulting to be the energy manager at the Department of Defense on Naval Base Coronado. And then I was a project manager for utility scale solar. And that's where I saw impressive amounts of waste. With my team, I have Ryan Peets. We call him the BD. Not only is he business development, he's boots on the ground, but he's our bird dog. He's very involved in community solar and renewable energy tree development projects. Then we have Brandon Nguyen. He has been a lead engineer at Sunrun and also works not only in the residential solar, but utility scale solar as well, currently for Revamp Engineering. And Denny Fulmer, who I met here at my Rady MBA. And she's fantastic, keeping me on track, and the strategy officer for Renew. So everyone, here at Renew, we aim to educate and empower individuals and companies to take ownership of the planet and our contribution to it. So today, this is your invitation to take the pledge and join me in welcoming a new platform that can offer sustainable life for solar panels. So as we move forward and pursue this SaaS platform, we would love any connections to developers, any connections you have in the solar industry, or if you feel called to offer time, talent, or treasure, please contact me. Thank you.
This is clearly a huge problem, but can you tell us how your company makes money? What is actual business model? I didn't get that.
Right, the business model has since changed after making several connections within the last week, but now we are ultimately offering a platform. So this will come as a cost to anyone wanting to be on it to sell panels. We make money off of deals. We will be advertising for different installers. So that on this platform, it offers solutions for installers, decommissioners, and consumers. And from there, we're making money off several different aspects, and mainly one of them being the individual system, the platform trying to sell their product.
So you sell a subscription?
Yeah,
to a company
subscription.
to-
Mhm.
What are you looking for right now? What do you need?
So currently talking to web developers and platform developers, but would love more connections and kind of price them and engage with individuals that are not only excited about this mission, but want to take it to the end. Because this is going to be a long-term iteration of this web platform that's ultimately going to be global and going to need a lot of talent and tweaks, etc.
Do you have engineer like especially in your team, or are you looking?
Not
for
present.
hiring?
Yeah, looking for that.
Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank
From our StartR rating program, I'd like to introduce Carter from third element.
All right, give me a second.
Oh,
I lost the
okay.
people on Zoom. For a second.
Like I can get you on. Slides for instant interest.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Kim. As Kim mentioned, my name is Carter Coleman. I'm a co-founder of Winds Bio, where we're working to heal the brain. As many of you likely know, neurological diseases and disorders are a significant challenge for the entire world. There are more than 20 million Americans alone that live with a neurological disease or disorder per year. And unfortunately, the vast majority of those people, when faced with a diagnosis, have absolutely no therapeutic options. The vast majority of neurological disorders, there are over 400, still have no effective therapeutic treatment. Third Element Bio is working to change. And we're doing that by re-looking at how CNS drug development, central nervous system drug development, and a large portion of central nervous system drug development can be tied back over 150 years ago to a neuroscientist called Santiago Ramon Cajal. He was one of the first people to start looking at the different types of cells within the human brain. And he identified the first element, he called it, of the human brain, neurons, this type of cell that many people since then have focused on studying. But it wasn't until his protege came along about 40 years later that they identified this third element of the brain, microglia. This left microglia understudied and undertargeted over the course of the next extent of drug development. We're really fascinated by microglia, though. Microglia can erase your memories. They fundamentally go in and take them out. They clear debris and they control inflammation within your brain. More than that, they're malleable, they're self-replenishing, and they're not uniquely brain-derived. And we believe that this makes them a really prime therapeutic target to go after. So, how does Third Element actually go about targeting these microglia to improve neurological? Well, we have 4 steps. We select our microglial targets, and this is something we do quite differently. We then design and develop therapeutics, confirm functional consequences, and commercialize. Our co-founding team has been built by 4 scientists uniquely suited to actually tackle these problems. One of our co-founders, Christine Liu, is a bioinformatic expert who utilizes huge data sets called single nucleus RNA sequencing data sets, where you look at the individual cell brains on a scale of millions of cells, for example. And we pull out key targets from there in both disease and control data sets. From there, Tony No, Dr. Tony No, goes ahead and leads our therapeutic development. So he has a PhD and 2 postdocs focused on therapeutic development. We have 2 leads currently in animals and are currently optimizing it. Linnea Ransom, who will soon get her PhD, has quite a bit of experience in neuroscience, functional assay development. So she's responsible for actually confirming that what Tony develops does what we want. And it's my role to commercialize these technologies. Now, to give you a little more background on the pipeline itself, what we're doing is we're taking human data sets and we're combining this with our proprietary bioinformatic pipeline. And that puts out about 200 potential therapies. So how can I convince you that those targets actually matter, that they do anything? Well, one way that we can look at that is that we have our pipeline identifying externally validated targets. So if you look at those targets that are already part of the druggable genome, this is targets that people have already developed therapeutics against. There are 14 in the druggable genome, and 2 of those are known pharma targets in neurological diseases. If you look at a different class, GPCRs, a unique class of targetable molecules, there are 3 known pharma targets. So we have at least 5 that we know pharma companies have advanced in. Now, we ourselves have basically taken novel targets that haven't been targeted before and are working to improve memory in Down syndrome, limit symptoms in multiple sclerosis. You can't see it here, but we're trying to accelerate recovery after stroke and traumatic brain injury with different therapeutics targeted to different molecules. To give you an outline of the market opportunity, we'll talk about stroke, which would potentially be our beachhead market. In this case, we're going to generate value by creating effective therapeutic options where there are currently limited or no therapeutic options. Currently today, if you have a stroke, the only therapeutic option for you is if you can make it to the hospital within 3 to 4 hours of having that stroke. And you can be administered a drug called TPA, tissue platinum. And that actually helps clear the clot in your brain. You get better reperfusion and improved recovery. But either way, you're faced with a pretty extensive recovery. The market itself is proposed to be around $32 billion a year in the US. We believe that with our molecule, if we can have a 20% reduction in hospital stays, that's 1 day less in the hospital, and a 30% decrease in rehab costs, we have about a $1 billion a year. And again, we can compare this to TPA, the central drug for stroke, which has an annual global market of around $2.5 billion, driven by Roche. So the third element team at this point is growing. So we have scientists and entrepreneurs who are helping build out our team. Leandra Boyce and Matthew Ruthman are both Rady MBA students who are helping us build forward. And we're working now to cultivate a mentorship team of entrepreneurs and field experts to help us drive. We've started to establish traction in incorporating, securing our own lab space and getting a law firm and bank. We've disclosed our inventions to the institute we're currently working at, and we're about a week away from filing our first provisional patent. We've also initiated licensing discussions to get these technologies out of that institute. We've secured AWS credits that will be essential to actually doing this bioinformatic analysis, as well as a grant from Illumina to help us pursue our sequencing activities. And again, we've developed these 2 leads. Within the next goal, we hope to secure external lab space, file our provisionals on 2 additional leads, and raise around $1.5 million in non-dilutive funding to help us pursue this forward. We're also looking at a seed round at the end of 2023, and we hope to really establish our in vivo proof of concept, showing that these molecules do what we believe they will do in animal models or different neurological diseases and disorders. And with that, I'd like to thank you all very much for your time. And if you know anybody in the field who might function as a great advisor, we're interested in that and we're searching for help. Thanks very much.
For our judges.
Which three GPCRs came out from your screen?
We're actually holding that information for us right now. But we could.
Yeah, we can talk after I can provide some help. Because I have one approved FDA drug for GPCR for MS actually.
Yeah,
And
great.
who are in clinical trials for neurodegenerative that we can help out. So the lead two compounds that you have mentioned, do you own the IP of this compound or do you, like, what are you trying? What's your intellectual property that you are trying?
Yeah, the IP that we're filing is actually going to be around the compounds themselves.
And the compound came out from some technology, or do you have medicinal chemists who are synthesizing the compounds?
We've synthesized those.
So it's wet lab based.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any partnerships perhaps or collaboration with AI-based technologies to screen much bigger libraries of compounds?
Not at this point, we don't. But we're working to do that.
So I'm clear, the compounds we're looking to develop will target the microglial.
Correct.
And are there any drugs today that target the microglial for dealing with neurodegenerative conditions or diseases?
Yes, so there are a couple. I actually don't believe there's one approved that was specifically designed to target microglia. There are certainly ones on the market that can target microglia, and it didn't have up the competition side. There are, without a doubt, companies today, including Denali, Visual Neuro, that are starting to move into microglia. We think one differentiator between us and them is that there are a set few number of these microglial genes that a large number of companies are going. Trend signaling Alzheimer's disease space is a well-known one. And we're thinking that for now, we're probably going to avoid those sort of crowded spaces and follow our pipelines.
The last question in terms of ultimate acceptance, is there resistance or openness within the medical community of these targets being a way to treat some of these neurodegenerative diseases, or is there a lot of education that's done in far perspective?
I think we're timing this exceedingly well. There's a very clear transition that's coming through right now, where it's saying, hey, we've targeted neurons and protein misfolding for a long period of time, and we're not getting all the way there. Often we're not getting anywhere close, but some of the steps are certainly not as far as we want to get. And so there's been both a scientific and now medical push to say, what are these other types of cells in the brain doing? And we're really starting to get a full understanding of all of it. So I think there will be quite a bit of acceptance in perturbing microglia and seeing a functional system.
You mentioned that your one of the areas that we're targeting is stroke.
Correct.
Can you give a little bit more insight as to how we are going to use that particular focus to validate thesis?
Certainly. So I guess scientifically how we're validating that thesis? Yeah. So the current drug on the market, CPA, helps block or burst the clot and reperfuse the brain. Microglia are responsible for modulating neuroinflammation. So how the inflammation in your brain spreads post and after stroke, there's extensive neuroinflammation. Our drug itself, we're hoping to basically suppress that inflammation at the right period of time in order to help the other cells heal, right? And we're going to use mouse models of stroke, which have been developed in order to actually see, can we decrease infarct size, the amount of space in the brain that dies post-stroke, and improve recovery after that stroke occurs. Does that answer your question? Great.
Thank you.
So before I introduce the last team, for the audience, just after this last team, we will have a mechanism for you to make, to vote for an audience choice award. So be prepared for that. So my pleasure to introduce Vonti, led by Tyler Schroeder, MBA from Rady, and his partner does very well.
Hi, everyone. We're Vonti. We are a luxury skin and beauty company. My name is Desiree Lowe, and I'm the CEO. My background is actually in mortgage banking, but my true passion has always been skincare. So I've tried every imaginable spa procedure that you can think of, and one of my favorites is something called a hydrofacial. Sometimes they call it a hydrodermabrasion. If you're not familiar with that, you've probably heard of a microdermabrasion. So it's very similar to that, but with water. It exfoliates your skin, cleans your pores, and also hydrates your skin. So I used to get these probably a couple times a month. They were very costly. It was difficult to always get in when I wanted to, and I had to take the time out of my schedule to make it work, make it fit in to go to the spa. So I purchased this large bulky machine, it's a professional hydrodermabrasion machine overseas, and I started doing them from my home. It solved the cost problem and it solved the convenience problem, but as you can see, it's not real easy to travel with. So introducing our new Hydro Pro that we're launching. It's a handheld microdermabrasion device or hydrodermabrasion device, and it obviously solves all the problems. Plus, you can travel with it. It has a charger. You can fit it in your suitcase, and you can use it literally daily. So it's very safe for the skin. It does not cause any sort of downtime, and so you can essentially have red carpet ready skin every single day. Some of the other things that it helps with, we talked about cleaning your skin, cleaning your pores. It also reduces free radicals on the skin, and it helps with inflammation. Inflammation is a big thing that everyone's always worried about. Inflammation on the skin causes premature aging, it causes hyperpigmentation, and just an overall dull, lackluster complexion. So this solves all of that, and you can use it. It's basically like a toothbrush for your face. And I think I went too far. And I will pass it over to my business partner, Tyson, and he will talk about the business strategy.
Okay, Tyson Schroeder. I'm running operations for Vonti. And so we're going to run a business model. What we're doing is we're offering the product, and then we'll offer consumables around that product that will complement the offering. So essentially, we would sell the product, and then we have this, what we're calling right now, a facial in a box. Comes with a cleanser, and it comes with a mask within that box, and it would be sold on, ideally on a subscription to the customer every month. Give you a size of the market here. So around the world, you're looking at one hydrodermabrasion treatment every 15 seconds. It's mostly very large in the Asian communities, in the Asian countries. But we want to bring it more over here. And obviously the spa, it's really big in the spas here. So if you actually, here in this country, about 2.7 million people do one of these procedures about once every month. And so if you took that times the price point we're going to sell our product at, you have this number of $761. And that's without the consumables. Okay, so our current growth strategy to go to market. So we're looking to launch here pretty soon. We're looking at March, late March, early April. We would launch our go-to-market strategy as is actually to use influencers, get these hands of dermatologists, people that go ahead and post stuff on YouTube and that would blog and other things about our product and get it out to get the word out to our customers. What we want to do is then take our customers, get the customer data, and we want to funnel that back and collect all that for touch points. Phase two, we want to scale that. We want to scale our marketing strategy and go with more digital ads, SEO, social, etc. From there, we want to actually launch more consumables to complement that Hydro Pro. In phase three, we actually are looking at launching a series 2 based on feedback from our customers. And launching that series 2, we would then continue to build our IP portfolio. We want to then grow our distribution channels. This will include retailers and e-commerce sites. So right now, what we're looking at is using a Shopify site, e-commerce distribution direct to consumer. And but then we would extend that into such stores such as Shopify, and then extension onto Amazon too, where we can grow that market. Okay, unit economics right now, we're looking at for the Hydro Pro yourself for $279 what our cost of goods sold is $97, and it gives us a margin of 65%. Now, what we like about the consumable side is where the high margin items are. And so we sell the patient on box and a subscription. And we would price at $129 a month. And cost to make that is only 17, and your margin is 78, or excuse me, 87%. So that's where we would really make a lot of our money on our consumable side. So our current competition, so we do have, this is Beauty Bio. They're a pretty well-known beauty company. They're about 100 million in revenue a couple of years ago. They just recently released this. We actually thought this was great validation for our product. In fact, we're starting to see some of these starting to come to market. Not a lot of them are big. This is probably our biggest competitor. They are very broad. They have a lot of beauty products across the market. We want to go deep into the hydrofacial or hydrodermabrasion focus. Current team, Desiree already introduced herself, background big in the sales. She's actually one of the top mortgage bankers in the United States. And myself, I'm the Rady grad, so I bring my experience in business from the school and from my work experience. And then we have Crystal, who's our CMO. She's been great. And she's actually helped a lot of brands launch and go to market. Current funding, so we're looking at around 100,000 to do an official launch. And that's between these areas here. But what we're really asking for more is we're looking for more, like, I want to say, cheap talent. So advisors, people that want to come in and be involved in the company. If we can get network to other influencers, like dermatologists and people like that. With that, that should be it. Any questions?
The company that you mentioned, what other, how many other devices are differentiate?
Yeah, so there's a few devices out there. Mostly have been launching within, I would say, the last 4 to 6 months. So it's actually pretty interesting. The timing seems pretty good. I want to say there's probably about, I've seen 3 or 4 devices, mostly non-US companies that are launching. A lot of Australian, a lot of Asian companies are launching devices like this. Not a lot in the US. In fact, PewDiePie is the only one I've seen so far in the US.
And you determine is your product a prototype today, or is it?
So it's ready to go. I say it's ready to go. We're finishing our packaging, branding, some of these other things that go to the launch, ramping up the website, all those other things. Yeah.
And for your go-to-market, is it primarily going to be e-commerce, or are you going to go through distributor?
Correct. So we're going to focus on the direct-to-consumer e-commerce market or distribution channels. Like I said, we'll use Shopify to get that out. What we want to eventually do is try to go to retail, sell to the retailer, get some shelf space. So like Sephora, she would love to get into Sephora. So, and some of these other big, more luxury type brands that you can think of. So.
What IP do you have around your product? You mentioned that there's one on the market, there's 3 or 4 that are not paying.
Correct. So we actually have no direct IP. And that's why I want to continue to build that IP portfolio as I get feedback from customers, and then we'll start to build that IP portfolio. So yeah, we're gonna have to create the moat. So.
And who created the technology? I did not see anyone on your team.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so what the strategy actually was, is we actually found a manufacturer in China that had already done this. And so we got that manufacturer, we can buy that device from the manufacturer. This goes back to building the IP. But we felt that this is a better quick go to market, and then we can do rapid prototyping with the feedback we get from customers and put out a better and better product. And like I said, the idea is, as far as building moats too, is customer satisfaction. Things like that.
So I'm assuming, excuse my not being quite educated in this field, but like there should be some type of solution that is going with that, right? That you are going to use with it, or like
Yes.
something,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're doing a facial in a box, so it's gonna be a cleanser with a cloth and then also a mask.
So
Like
this
a,
product, do they go through some regulatory like checks, or because you're putting it on the skin?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so the other products, so besides the HydroPro, we actually do have another manufacturer in Nevada that they're a chemical company, so we get their products as well from them. to offer with the Hybrid Pro. So they're doing a lot of those checks, understandably, to make sure those products are good to sell.
Can we have it in our carry-on? Any restriction?
Okay, so great question on that. So the Hybrid Pro does have a lithium battery, but you should be able to carry that if it's not an isolated battery, you know, you put it in your suitcase. So, but it does have a lithium battery.
I've traveled with it.
So,
Definitely the consumables are less than 100.
yeah, right. That's, yes, the current research.
Yeah, I have lost a couple of products.
Likewise.
Any final questions?
Last question, what's your product evolution roadmap? 5 years from now, does it look the same or?
No, I mean,
Vision of it being something.
I
more
envision it
unique.
different based on the feedback we get from customers. So the idea is we do want to reiterate and continue to improve the product. I don't have a design in my head of what that would look like. But we're looking at, roadmap wise. So series 2, we're launching probably next year with the feedback we get. So, but I don't know what that's going to look like, but it's more probably operational, maybe even the look and feel, but we'll see how that goes. But,
In addition, we probably, the hope is to launch future products to complement it as we go. Once we're through this first stage.
did I answer that question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll talk about that.
Okay. So at this time, I would like the audience to choose which StartR company presentation was your favorite. So you can, the judges are going to leave right now and go decide first and second place, but we would like the audience to also participate. And to go ahead and scan the QR code, or you can go to strawpoll.com/StartR221. And during, yeah.
Festival Passport is the old name of FestiGo on the poll.
Right. Yes. Okay. Good point. FestiGo is Festival Passport. So thanks for bringing that up. So in the meantime, I'm going to have my colleague Karen Jensen, our entrepreneur advocate, come and speak about a few upcoming events and programs.
So thank you all again for being here. Hopefully you enjoyed all the presentations today and you're thinking to yourself, hey, I'd like to do that someday. Right now, we have our applications open for two of our StartR programs, StartR Inclusion and Impact, where we're looking for teams with an underrepresented founder, preferably with a social venture idea in there as well that will make you a stronger candidate, but underrepresented founder is the most important thing there. And StartR Rady Stage 2. This is a program where we're looking for companies that have already done some work on their business model canvas, have done considerable customer discovery, and really have that market opportunity nailed down. Applications for this program are closed, on February 27th. So be sure to get your application in. And if you have questions on filling it out, let us know. And then I do want to mention as well that we have upcoming the Triton Innovation Challenge. This is a campus-wide competition for those with ideas that have an environmental impact. So comes from, inspired by, or directly impacts nature. For this competition, we have a prize pool of at least $12,500 that may or may not go up. We'll see. Applications will open on March 1st. So be sure you scan the QR code. Information will be posted there by March 1st. And again, if you have any questions, let us know. And I think that's all for me. And I will turn it over to Tim.
This slide's pretty self-explanatory. Fortunately, we have received a generous donation that allowed us to offer catalyst funding to companies who will probably start accepting applications in summer, perhaps as late as fall, but we hope to start accepting applications in summer. And the idea behind the catalyst funding is to help young nascent startups just take that next step toward the point where they can eventually be private. We do not take equity for these investments. And these are just a few of the other programs that we're offering this winter and spring. You'll notice the scientist and founder is a program we're doing with J Labs, which is Johnson and Johnson's incubator in town. And then in fall, we'll be doing a program around Growth Capital with Biocom. So we're trying to stretch our wings and work with some community partners. So please feel free to register for these. They're on the blue sheets that were on the seats. And in the meantime, if you'd like to get something to drink before the judges come back, we'll be announcing the board shortly. Thank you all very much for coming.
You know what?
And the first reaction that you will expect is the exact same reaction. So, yeah, really inefficient. Well, summer 2020 where even they don't think it was. And they got me break. This one also great job. So, to me, yeah. Yeah. So we realized that when we pesticides, these accidents, chemically, we're hoping that we can get grants. They're all be done by and then get your and it hurts. So, yeah, I mean,
Do you want to, do you want me to get it? Take your seats really quickly, but you will still get to network out.
Okay, just so we look like we'll give you 1 minute. So we're gonna have our judges introduce second place team. Second place team is gonna win $250, and then our first place team will introduce which will win $500. So, would you like to introduce our second place?
I will, but I first want to say, every company and person that presented today was tremendous. You guys all have incredible, innovative ideas and wish you all success in what you guys are pursuing. So,
Charles, do you want to maybe stand up and?
absolutely.
Great,
So
thank you.
if you didn't hear me, everyone was tremendous, and we hope everyone is going to be successful in pursuing their ideas. Very difficult decision. Unfortunately, we had to choose two. I'll present the second one, and the second place company is packed. Judges, we were given a rubric around the actual problem, the size of the market opportunity, how innovative the solution, quality of the team, and the presentation on all those marks. You guys scored very high. Incredibly innovative solution. It's a huge and growing market, as you can see. You guys are approaching it from a very different angle than some of the others that are out there in terms of DoorDash and others, and Uber Eats. The fact that you're partnering with college campuses, I think gives you a unique market opportunity. And what we were also impressed by is you did a test run, and even with very, very low revenues, we're actually able to make money. And so while some would question what the unit economics are, the fact that you're actually able to prove it on a small scale gives us confidence that you guys can figure out a way to scale it over time. So congratulations, guys.
And so, drum roll, for our first place team.
First place team, please come on up.
And as it was already presented, it was not an easy decision, really amazing presentations here. And I believe all of the teams that have presented have a great potential and great path forward. So based on the rubric that we had, the problem was presented very clearly. The team was there, team of experts, I should say, and the solution is very innovative with great market size, definitely. That's the third element, bio.
Yeah, but not with their heads not shining.
Yeah, keep going.
Now for Korean story.
Come on, take a picture. Yeah.
So thank you all for coming. All the teams will be available to talk with, so we encourage you to network. And we'll be having our StartR, we do it actually every 6 months, so we have 2 cohorts per year. So thank you for coming out and joining us to hear all of our teams. And I also like to give actually all of the teams a big round of applause. For your students that are here, that are part of UCSD, we're going to be doing our new cohort. So we'll have a StartR Rady, inclusion impact, and then we're also doing a stage 2 this time. We're going to have some more advanced teams. So definitely apply online. And I think that the next slide has the.
Oh, no, we covered it when the judges were judging.
Thanks, Diana and Karen. Part of the team that puts this together in all our entrepreneurship programs, and to Kim for being such a remarkable instructor to the students. Thank you.
See you next time.
Oh, I know.
It's good time to apply. What are they, what's the,
Like,
you guys feel ask for?
yeah, I think it'll get shortened down. So it'll basically be similar, but like the topic might. Yeah. So, you know, if you have.